Anyway, any of you guys remember Columbo? The TV series Columbo from the 70s? He always put a cigar and asked these cool, weird questions with his hair messed up, remember? It's funny. How come... Well, I got messed up hair, but I don't care. At least I'm not bald. It's the only thing I got left. But it was a cool show. But anyway, no sense talking about all this typical stuff about, I won't mention it. Quick snippets of what's going on. It's February 11th, 2021. I'm out here in the mountains and in pretty much a rural area. And all my neighbors, except two, have COVID. Everybody. And they're all over 70 years old. One's 86. I don't understand this. They didn't go in the hospital. One went in the hospital for 2 days, came home. They're all fine. They're all home. One had a stroke years ago, and she's like 80 and she has it. She didn't even know she was sick. My daughter, well, she's fine. She had it, and she's over it like in a week. I just got my antibodies tested yesterday. It shows I'm totally negative. I never was exposed, and I was around everybody infected since last January. I don't know what to say anymore, folks. Israel has a new thing, a new medication that they just announced like a week ago. It's a cancer medication that they use to try on COVID. And it's like almost a 99% cure for late stage people in the hospital that were dying are cured and went home. Now let's see how long it takes for us in the United States, and Europe for that matter, to quickly take this and use it. Sign a waiver and say, hey, I'm going to use it. It's a last-ditch effort to save a life, and I want to use it. Let's watch them ban this one, just like they did to other ones. No one has any rational reason to say, or ethical reason to say why these things are being banned, these prophylactic medications. I'm not going to go into it. I just get really upset and negative, and I don't want to do that. Okay, moving on. So, we could see that it seems apparent that slavery, no human rights, no religion, no free speech, no environmental laws, no safety, that's only okay in China. As long as it makes money for Wall Street capitalism. I just got a list of companies. It's about 20, maybe 30 companies, major corporations like Nike, Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Hitachi. There's a list like you won't believe. It was in the, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal. Of all these companies, but I'm surprised the Wall Street Journal put this in there, that have factories using Uyghur Muslim Chinese slaves. Women are being beaten and raped, abused. People are being brainwashed, taken away from their children for years. Their children sit home and their parents are gone. And they're in a prison camp with fences, guards, dogs, the same as prison. And right after work, they have to watch Chinese nationalist movies, sing songs, anything that they have cameras following them everywhere. They have a Uyghur detector for facial identity now. You remember Hawaii, I think they call it, that cell phone company? They developed a thing now by facial structures, to show if someone's a Uyghur. Because a lot of these people come from Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, like the border countries of Western China, which are a mix of Mongolian Arabs and Turkestan, I forget what they call them. They're not Han Chinese, so they look a little different. So they have a camera system in China that alerts the government. I'm wearing my $300 Italian sunglasses that I found in the garbage. Anyway, never mind. They're probably made in China, too. Only Chinese takeout food's made here in America now. It's not even funny. So anyway, they have these facial recognition cameras to alert some database that there's Uyghur Muslims in your town walking around. This is freaking creepy, man. And they're doing that crap here. I know they got something going on here. And it starts with Facebook and all these big platforms, like even this video right now. I'm on a list. I'm not into guns. I'm not a right-wing guy. I'm a moderate middle person. I listen to both sides and make up my mind. Both sides have good and bad ideas. I'm not ism on either side. Left-wing is, whatever you want to call it. Right, left, I don't care. I hate that stuff. It's ruining the world. And it's done on purpose because Rome did this with the left and rights, patricians and plebeians. We talked about that before. Meanwhile, the big ones on top are making huge profits right now. So these major companies have these factories, forced labor factories, in these prison camps. And Nike sneakers and all these like NBA stars and football people and Hollywood celebrities, they're making, like LL Bean has, they think it's in Maine. I mean, how absurd. You think LL Bean is some old people in Maine making boots and gloves. This has got to stop, folks. It's a line that's been done to us. Now, in 1993, the Republicans and Democrats passed this thing to add China in before NAFTA, under the pretense that we would democratize China and it would be friendly and the people would do well. Well, that has not happened, folks. Okay? China was never communist to begin with, nor was the Soviet Union. Karl Marx and Engels in Germany, both were Christian, by the way. Marx was baptized a Lutheran as a baby. He was an anti-Semite. Engels is Christian. They're both, besides that part, they were both good guys, skipping the anti-Semitic part. They both came from wealthy families and saw the abuses that Industrial Revolution was doing upon children and workers, especially like England, like Oliver, remember the movie? They were using children as worker slaves, okay? And they had no rights, no voice, and if you were hurt or sick or injured, you were disposed of. So they wanted to unite the workers. Interestingly enough, in Germany, in 1500, there's a thing called the German Workers' Revolt. It's where the workers of Germany went against the church and went against the noblemen. They lost, sadly. Martin Luther, the father of the Protestant Reformation, went against the workers and against the people. And if you read his writings, they were in German, but they've recently been translated into English. He says, there's a quote, not only was a rabid anti-Semitic maniac, that Mein Kampf quotes him, his writings. He says to put the Jews in camps and burn them in the books. He says this in his writing. Besides that, he says, we are of gods and the people are of dogs. At the round table discussions in German. That's from Martin Luther's writing. You see that in graduate school or something, you got to kind of like look into it to verify what I say. Please verify everything I say. Don't just listen to me. We need to verify things from reputable sources today. So anyway, Soviet Union was never. The Politburo had special privileges, wealth, money, everything it wanted. And 95% of the people lived like serfs again, just like under czars. The Bolsheviks were 2/3 former Christians and 1/3 former Jews. No religions were allowed in the Soviet Union. My grandparents escaped long ago in the Soviet air territories. I'm familiar with these things. And I'm half Irish, so I come from a real refusnik background, to say the least. Now, if you look at Ireland, interesting story. The Treaty of Westminster from 1050, I believe. The Norman conqueror of Brighton of England was told by Pope Adrian to seize Ireland and tax it as a vassal, which started the whole mess with Northern Ireland and occupied the War of Independence in the 1920s against Britain. A bloodbath. But yet today, most Irish, a lot of Irish, are intense Catholic. You can't tell them this. I tried to tell this to my grandmother. She'd probably break a dish over my head. But it's true. So, again, people seem to, revisionist history, or one of the most egregious, horrible things I've seen is a recent movie by Oprah Winfrey, who's one of the richest women in the world, I think she is, about Selma, the civil rights marches. Well, I think 3 or 4 Jews from 5 towns were murdered there, along with black people, trying to, get civil rights. And Rabbi Joshua Heschel, who was a really kind, nice rabbi, marched with MLK in the marches, got spit on, beaten, abused. The kids were murdered, 3 Jewish boys. Well, if you watch the Selma film that she produced, all the Jews were removed, edited out, not one mention. Now, no one will explain to me why. Is that what is that? Come on, man. So there's a whole bunch of stuff like that that people like seem to remold history. African slavery, of course, is evil. Any type of slavery is evil. It's against the Torah. You can't kidnap, you can't enslave anyone. That's another misunderstanding of the original Hebrew Bible. It says that an Eved is a worker who sells himself willfully to you to work as just like a worker. And they cannot be abused, and they can be freed if they're abused. And they can convert, or if they're already, whatever the case is, they have to be treated like your family. And they could marry into your family. And they cannot be kidnapped and sold as livestock. That's from the Talmud and the Torah. So other people retranslated the original Torah into a new Old Testament, they call it, whatever, and somehow spiced